Good evening. Geelong is the toast of the football world, beating Collingwood to win a third premiership in just 5 years. Leith Mulligan is at the MCG, and Leith, this win cements Geelong's dominance.
Sure will, Beck. The Pies gave them a run for their money for 3 quarters, but Geelong were just too good in the end. Winners by 38 points. The final score 18-11, 119 to Collingwood's 12-9, 81. It means no fairy tale finish for Mick Malthouse, but an amazing start to Chris Scott's coaching career. His gamble to play Steve Johnson paid off, with Geelong still the greatest team of all.
The day began with a soaked MCG, empty but for one giant premiership cup. But braving the rain, the masses made the trek to the MCG. Chris Scott arrived as smiling Cats coach, Stevie J to play despite a week of wandering under an injury cloud. Some weren't happy to hear it might be too wet for Meatloaf to rock and roll.
I'm devastated that Meatloaf might have pulled out. I just can't believe it.
But Mr Loaf wouldn't do that to the MCG crowd. Brett Kirk came out of the big cup to deliver the small one. Geelong eyeing a third in 5 years. The Pies refused to put eyes on the prize, but they locked in on each other as Vanessa Amorosi let rip. Better conditions by the bounce. It took Travis Varco just 8 seconds to kick the first goal.
Oh, what a start for the Cats!
Travis Clough kick-started Collingwood with a massive 65-metre effort.
That is a monster!
Harry Kuehl saw a sensational first term with just 1 point in it. After cracking heads, Cameron Ling needed a nose job. When James Podsiadly went down, his shoulder came out. Stretch it off with his day done. It seemed nothing could stop Andrew Cracker. A former inmate was in touch, but the Cats landed on their feet again to be within 3 points. The second half started with controversy. Sharrod Wellingham's goal wasn't really.
Oh, no, it's hit the post.
But not even the big bosses could do anything about it. The rain returned as the Cats dug their claws in and took a 7-point lead.
Tommy Hawkins on the big stage kicks his third.
Known as Tomahawk, the big forward continued to cut the Magpies out of the game. It was all but over when Bartel bagged a third and Johnson jagged his fourth.
But this is where he is, on the main stage, kicking the match-winning goal.
Geelong's top cat, Cameron Ling, sealed it.
This would be sweet. A sweet goal to Cameron Ling.
Scott couldn't contain himself, with the Cats taking the cream for the third time in 5 years.
There it is. The Cats proved themselves as one of the greatest teams of the modern era.
No fairy tale finish for Mick Malthouse after 40 years in football. Geelong is the greatest team of today and recent times. Leith Mulligan, 7 News.
The party has already begun in Geelong, where die-hard fans brave the rain to watch their Cats bring home a third cup in just 5 years. Amy Parks is there, and Amy, it's going to be a big night in Geelong.
Oh, it certainly is, Rebecca. I can't even hear you. The crowd here going absolutely nuts. There's going to be thousands more in the city centre tonight for a massive party at the end of what's been a very tense day.
On the waterfront in the heart of Catland, fans rugged up and braved the elements. They showed their true colours and they were very sure of themselves.
19 points, Cats Ways, Kelly Phenomenal.
The opposition song wasn't a hit, but theirs sure was. And when they won the toss, there was a big cheer for a good omen. But it got even bigger when the Cats kicked their first goal in seconds and their second within minutes. At quarter time, the rain came and sent even the most dedicated running for cover.
We had a bit of trouble putting the tent up actually, but someone from beside us helped, so we're all right.
And there was tension in the air as the score went back and forth and injuries struck. But over at Cameron Ling's pub, his broken nose didn't worry revellers.
Oh, yeah, he's still ugly anyway, so it's not going to make any difference. He'll pull through because he's the most toughest guy you'll ever meet.
They enjoyed the game in style and some already had the ink good to go.
I want another premiership on the end of that one.
The excitement grew and grew, with all signs pointing towards victory.
Jimmy Bartel and a
In Geelong, Amy Parks, 7 News.
After a near-perfect season, Collingwood is now coming to terms with a grand final loss. Karen O'Sullivan's at Gosh's paddock. And Karen, how are Pies fans coping?
Well, Rebecca, the only black and white left here are the Seagulls. Supporters left in their droves after the match, devastated at their team's loss. They were hoping for that fairy tale finish for coach Mick Malthouse, but in the end it was the year of the cat. They may not have been at the MCG, but these Collingwood diehards had all the passion of a grand final crowd. The Magpie Army descended in their hundreds on Gosh's paddock, cautiously anticipating a back-to-back premiership.
We have a lot of respect for Geelong, but hopefully the boys can get up.
Grey skies threatened all day and fans came prepared for the worst.
We're down from the Gold Coast. We don't like your weather here.
It wasn't the start that Pies fans wished for, with the Cats going out early. But the Pies' first blood got fans on their feet.
I reckon the game's going well for Collingwood. Collingwood will be on top in the end by about 10 points. Collingwood will win about 2 points. It's going to be a very close game.
With a half-time lead of just 3 points, the Collingwood faithful knew it was too close to call, many believing the game would be won or lost in the third quarter. But Geelong refused to let Collingwood run away with the game, the margin remaining just a few points. Magpies fans held their collective breath as Geelong edged ahead, going into the final quarter with an 8-point lead.
Anyone game. Anyone game.
This is my first time ever, and I'm glad my brother sent me here.
As the game slipped away, loyal supporters prayed for a miracle.
Do it for Mick. I don't know. What can they do? They're playing their heart out, so I don't know.
With a premiership loss looming, dejected fans headed home. Others remained, stunned at what could have been. Pies fans now looking ahead to the next season and their new leader.
There's always next year. Bring on Bucks.
Yeah, bad luck for Mick, and I just really think the boys let him down. I really do.
Karen O'Sullivan, 7 News.
Festivities began early with the Prime Minister given a rock star reception at the traditional grand final breakfast. Die-hard fans outside the G braved the wintry weather. The atmosphere warm despite the chilly conditions.
The sausage sizzles were soggy, but it didn't dampen the enthusiasm of fans. Some couldn't decide on who to barrack for, the game leaving whole households divided.
My wife's a very passionate Collingwood supporter, and she made it loud and clear 2 weeks ago that if we play off in the big game that she'd leave home on the Friday and we'd catch up sometime Sunday somewhere.
At the traditional grand final breakfast, one-eyed cat supporter Premier Ted Baillieu was playing politician.
Two best teams, Australia's best sport, at the best venue.
Dogs fan Prime Minister Julia Gillard proved popular, despite numbers not being on her side in recent polls.
I'm backing Geelong, I reckon, by 29 points.
At the G, there was a familiar war cry.
Up there, Kazali, don't let win.
But they had to, camping out to get the best seats. And amidst fears Melbourne's ever-changeable weather would keep fans away, the MCC this morning opened the doors to a limited number of restricted members in a bid to fill seats. Those that couldn't get in flocked to pubs. The clean-up's all that remains. Alan Rascal, 7 News.
And Michael Felgate joins us now from outside the Collingwood rooms at the MCG. Michael, what an amazing game, but the Cats too good.
Yeah, they certainly were, Beck, and we've actually just made ourselves inside the Collingwood rooms, and as you would imagine, it's a deathly silence in here. The players are just milling around with their loved ones, their family and friends. There are a lot of tears. This is not the way they wanted to send Mick Malthouse off. They lost just 3 matches this year. All 3 matches were to Geelong. Of course, Mick Malthouse, 40 years in the game, 28 years as coach, some 660-odd matches, and he was the premiership coach last year. He has now coached his final game, unfortunately on the losing side of this year's grand final. But it's still been a tremendous year, and next year a new era begins with Nathan Buckley at the helm.
Question marks surrounding Geelong star Steve Johnson were answered pre-game. Grand final intensity on display for all to see. The opposing coach is more relaxed before the G erupted inside 15 seconds.
Varco can go all the way, runs to 45, Travis Varco! Oh, what a start for the Cats!
The Cats grabbed 2 quick ones before the reigning Premier's All-Australian big man gave them a spark.
It's coming back. He's made it easily. That is a monster.
Stevie J's dicky knee forgotten as the Cats kept their noses in front.
This will test the knee. Is it okay? Looks all right from here.
Collingwood's second-term revival was ironically kick-started by their own comeback story.
Cracker, cracker, cracker!
Cloak's confidence sky high as the Pies jumped to a 3-goal break.
Working it back, Buddy style. Oh, what a goal!
Geelong's wobbles were then compounded when James Podsiadly was subbed out with a badly dislocated shoulder. And while Cracker had it on a string at times and grabbed 3 for the half, the Cats' own magician kept them in touch.
Steve Johnson can load up from 50 metres out, and Steve Johnson does the business.
Some brilliance from a Brownlow medalist, reducing the half-time margin to single figures.
There's big moments in grand finals, and the ball was in the hands of the right man, Jimmy Bartel.
Retiring Cat Cam Mooney's words of wisdom seemed to work wonders when the Tomahawk came out firing.
It's full forward, it's Shaw, it's Hawkins! And it's Geelong in front.
It looked like luck was against Geelong when another grand final goal umpiring blunder handed the Pies an answer. But the J-Pod's replacement bobbed up with impeccable timing.
Duncan for Geelong kicks the goal.
The response from the defending champs, hardly surprising.
The Pies know they have to come again, and they do. You knew they would. Sidebottom kicks the goal.
The third term belonged to a much maligned Cat.
And then Hawkins does it again. Tommy Hawkins.
Under the spotlight, Tom Hawkins was making his mark on the biggest stage of all. When he wasn't grabbing it, he was handing them off.
Plays on. He handballs to Johnson, who kicks the goal.
Travis Varco's silky skills shooting the Cats to a game-high 21-point break.
Varco casually kicks a left-foot goal to remember. He'll never forget it.
Fittingly, it was the Miracle Man on hand to land the knockout blow.
But this is where he is, on the main stage, kicking the match-winning goal.
But the icing on the cake was reserved for the Mayor of Geelong.
To the captain, this would be sweet. A sweet goal to Cameron Ling.
Almost 100,000 fans on hand to witness Geelong consolidate their position in the game's history.
There it is. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the Cats proved themselves as one of the greatest teams of the modern era.
No fairy tale end to the Malthouse era. Bartel awarded the Norm Smith medal, the ageless Cats answering the doubters in stunning fashion. Adam Curley, Fox Sports News.
Here is the best on ground voting. Jimmy Bartel has a Norm Smith medal now to go along with his Brownlow and his 3 premiership medals. He polled the maximum 3 votes from 4 of the 5 judges. Midfield teammate Joel Selwood was next with 9. The often maligned Tom Hawkins turned the game in the third term with some brilliant marking. He was third in voting. Scott Pendlebury, the only Magpie to feature in the top 5. Cameron Ling scoring the 1 vote for his terrific job on Dane Swan.
They certainly did. 3 flags in 5 years, 9 in their history. The Cats got it done with a 5-goal-to-none final term. Johnson booted 4 goals. Hawkins kicked 3 crucial ones in arguably his best game for the club, while Joel Selwood had 28 disposals. Norm Smith medalist Jimmy Bartel booted 3 to go with his 26 touches. Let's now hear from Bartel along with his master coach Chris Scott.
I honestly thought that we had a group of players that if everything went well for us, we could get ourselves in a position to compete. I know I've said it over and over again, but that was our only expectation. And I said to the players after the game that I think after about 6 weeks, it really dawned on me that we had an extremely special group of people, not just players, but coaches, administrators, everyone involved in Geelong. Just makes me feel humbled to be a part of this organisation. I can honestly tell you I've never felt better being involved with a football team than I do right now. It's a little bit overwhelming, to be honest.
It certainly rejuvenated the group and gave us a new focus, and certainly the way we were playing towards the end of last year, we were a bit behind the times with everybody playing the press and defensively, and Scotty obviously come in and made our own defence a big focus, and gave us ways to take on other sides and their defence. totally no disrespect to it or anything like that. I'm just happy with the other one, the premiership medal. You know, Scotty's touched on it before. We have a pretty fierce group that play for premierships, and that's all I wanted. So I guess it's just some pretty nice icing on the cake, if you'd put it anyway.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty good example of the type of footballer that Geelong tries to develop. He can play absolutely anywhere. He's great at ground level, fantastic mark for his size, but above and beyond everything else, he plays for the team and he wins contests. And that's what the game was today. It was really one-on-one. I think if anyone was in our coach's box or in our meeting rooms, you'd probably all be a little bit disappointed about how simple the messages were, because it was back, and we stripped it back to really simple footy, you know, underage stuff really. The team that wins the most contests will win this game. Yeah, well, he was close to not playing. We probably made the final decision. It was around about 10 o'clock this morning. But I can honestly say, and I've said this to Steve, I didn't doubt him for a second. We spoke at length a number of times about what it would mean to go into a game injured, and he guaranteed me that if he couldn't do it, he wouldn't play. And I believed him 100% of the time. Personally, I'm just so happy for Hawke. I thought he was a difference at the start of the last quarter. Those contested marks were amazing, and we've always known internally that he could do that. And he is going to be a very good player for a long time.
Good evening. Thousands of Cats supporters have flooded Geelong to pay homage to their victorious grand final team after a wild night of celebrations. Amy Parks is there tonight. Amy, how long will the party go on?
Well, Rebecca, I'm tipping these celebrations are going to go into the wee hours of tomorrow morning, and for who knows how long after that. There are plenty of Cats fans down here. We're at the waterfront at Cameron Ling's pub, where the players are expected a little bit later. As I said, plenty of people down here still celebrating after a very big day of celebrations.
The party started in Geelong after the final siren and kicked on long afterward. The streets of the CBD were jammed, cars full of delirious fans in the wake of an amazing win. Right in the heart of the city, crowds gathered for an impromptu game of kick to kick, and it seemed like the whole town wanted to join in. As the night wore on, it got slightly messier, but police reported no major incidents, and the fan spirit didn't waver. It was well intact at Fed Square, where the players arrived to fanfare. They moved on to an official team function for more performance praise. Morning rolled around and people were already lining up for their chunk of history. And bleary-eyed Cats fans rolled out of bed to converge on Cardinia Park to see their heroes in the flesh. One by one, the weary Cats emerged to rousing applause. None louder than for coach Chris Scott.
This is one of the great things about being the last of the community clubs. To share it with everyone at Geelong, it's just a fantastic feeling.
It was clear the Cats were ready to relax, particularly Iron Man Matthew Stokes.
I'm just sick of all the seriousness about it. Let's enjoy the win and have a bit of fun.
But most admitted last night had been relatively quiet, except for Captain Ling, who found himself with a strange bedfellow.
It was very nice to cuddle up to.
Where was Doddsy?
She slept on the floor, mate.
Oh, good girl, well done.
And as for injuries, it seems premiership glory can numb any pain.
Yeah, I just wanted the attention, that's what it all was.
And while thousands came down to Cardinia Park this afternoon to celebrate, you get the feeling that at the city of Geelong, the party doesn't end here.
We stick together, and you know, occasions like this just bring us all together, you know. Like, just have a look around you.
In Geelong, Amy Parks, 7 News.